Hello, welcome to Vest Top 5. I'm your host, Vest Guy.
Hey, you got fan mail.
Oh shit. See? People do love me. People actually watch my show. Fuck. It's great. What does it say here? Oh, it's in Spanish. So it's from my Spanish video. See? People watch my stuff. Vest Guy. Carlos de Argentina. Me cago en tu madre. Te lo voy a meter en el orto por no mencionar y tu mamá también. Oh, it's just kind words. He's just saying that it's a great video. Carlos de Argentina, yo soy el que te lo voy a meter en el orto. Cuando estés acostado en la noche, no lo vas a saber. I just pretty much telling him that I appreciate what he just said. It's great stuff. Me cago en tu madre, hijo de puta. Welcome to Best Top 5. I'm your host, Best Guy, and today we're talking about the top 5 Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. So Van Damme was a big popular action star in the 80s, kind of, more in the 90s. And the thing with Van Damme is that he's very underrated. He has a lot of good movies that sadly have gone under the radar because after the year 99, most of the movies that came out in the 2000s were straight to video. Unlike other actors like Steven Seagal or Wesley Snipes or Chuck Norris, all the straight to video movies he released were actually pretty good. And that goes into my honorable mention. I have an honorable mention. It's a movie called Untitled Chapter. This movie was released by Van Damme in the year 2007, and it has no martial arts. It's just a guy who's trying to recover from heroin, and there's other things involving with him being a cop and trying to seek forgiveness. It's a drama, and it shows that Van Damme can act really, really good. But now we're going to go into the top 5 films. So there's a bit of a mix here and there. There's some movies from the 90s, there's some more recent films. I didn't include the TV series called Jean-Claude Van Johnson that's done by Amazon Prime because that's a TV show. And I did see the pilot, it's actually pretty funny. I do want to watch the rest of the show. Sadly, it's been canceled, but that is not included in this list because it's not a movie, it's a TV show. So number 5, we have Universal Soldier. So I actually wanted to put Universal Soldier Regeneration, which I really like. I think it's a really good sequel, but the original is still better. The original film, which was kind of a mixture of Terminator and RoboCop, is a story where Jean-Claude Van Damme is in Vietnam. He dies along with someone else played by Dolph Lundgren, and they're both reanimated in the future. And by future, we're talking about 1992. And they're reanimated and they're used as a special forces kind of characters who are taken in for like hostile scenarios where terrorists are attacking and things like that. But thing is that they think that these, reanimated corpses that they can now control are completely under their control. But they think that these reanimated corpses are under their complete control, the government that is. But in reality, they have memories, and they're starting to slowly remember. Specifically, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren's character. So once Jean-Claude Van Damme starts to remember, Dolph Lundgren realizes that Jean-Claude Van Damme's character in the film was a traitor back in Vietnam, or at least according to Dolph Lundgren's character. The movie, of course, it's cheesy in many parts. Some of the effects has not aged very well, but has some great action sequences between Dolph Lundgren and Jean-Claude Van Damme, especially towards the third act. And it has your cliche Van Damme beatdown, where Van Damme gets beaten up really badly, and then at the last moment you have your heroic, slow-mo, flip in the air where he comes back and kicks ass. You have some classic lines where because Van Damme, you know how Schwarzenegger is the king of one-liners, and Stallone as well, but when it comes to Van Damme, some of the one-liners, they're funny, but they're not exactly as memorable. One of them being where he is finally defeating Dolph Lundgren's character towards the end. He tells him, "Sarge, you're discharged." It's very, very corny. Or you'll have Dolph Lundgren saying, "You're dead, soldier," and then you have Van Damme saying, "No, I'm live." At number 4, we have a movie that was released straight to video as well, but this one is actually on the top 5, and that movie is Replicant, released in the year 2000. This film, Van Damme for a long time had the cliche of putting a twin in his film. He did that in Double Impact, Maximum Risk. And he did it again in Replicant, but I think he did it best here in Replicant, and it makes sense why there's a twin, unlike in the other films where it's like a gimmick. In this film, there's a serial killer that they need to hunt down, and the best way that they can hunt him down and they can track and know everything about him is by making a replicant. So Van Damme plays both the villain, this long-haired villain that he does a really good job playing the villain, and also the clone that was created in the lab. The other supporting character is Michael Rooker, who befriends the clone version of Van Damme and is helping him kind of like also realize that this guy, he's a clone, and he has to learn a lot of things. But again, the reason why you have two Van Dammes in one movie, at least in this film, makes more sense, and it's more believable. And not only believable, but the effects are better. Because when you watch something like Double Impact, the scenes where the twins are side to side, it just does not work. And then you have something like Maximum Risk, where the twins are never in the same shot. But in Replicant, not only are they in the same shot, but they are also fighting, which is really cool. Check it out. It's available on Blu-ray. Great little film. So number 3, we have 1988's Bloodsport, which I actually wanted to put at my number 2 spot, but I'm gonna explain to you very briefly why I didn't. While Bloodsport is the movie that cemented Van Damme as a big action superhero star, the one on my number 2 list was a little more entertaining, which I'll get into later. Bloodsport is a film where you have your typical cliche film that Van Damme would use to his advantage to make movies like The Quest, Lionheart, an array of other films that follow the story of a guy going on a tournament to prove himself. Van Damme in this film plays Frank Dux, and he goes to Hong Kong to fight an array of fighters. All the fighters are from different countries, and they're all fighting for the big prize. And it's this fight called the Kumite. I don't know why I pronounced it that way, the same way I don't know why I pronounced Dukes. It's supposed to be just Frank Dukes. When I was a kid, I thought it was Frank Duck. But anyway, the Kumite is a fight where the best of the best are fighting in a tournament. Curious thing is that the story in this movie was actually inspiration for Mortal Kombat. So, Bloodsport, it's simplistic. Van Damme goes against the wishes of the military to Hong Kong to fight and to prove himself. And he's also going there to honor his master, the man who trained him. You have a little montage where Van Damme is learning how to fight and being trained. There's even a part where Van Damme, at the time, still hadn't perfected his acting chops. Because people usually see him as a big action hero guy. And like I said in my honorable mention, guy can act. Watch Until Death. And also watch a movie that I'm going to be mentioning in my number 1 list. But in Bloodsport, there's a scene where Van Damme has already, proven himself to his master to a certain degree. He has learned all the techniques. And he turns, I don't remember the exact words, but he turns to him and he's trying to be very emotional, and it just comes out very, very corny. He goes, "I can do it! I'm Van Damme!" That's my really bad impersonation of Van Damme. So Bloodsport's good, I like it, it's entertaining, but my number 2 is actually the same movie, it's Bloodsport, but better, at least to me, in terms of entertainment. And that movie is Kickboxer. Same story as Bloodsport. Only difference is instead of Hong Kong, it's Thailand. Instead of your typical martial art, it's Muay Thai. And Van Damme has to be trained by another master. Instead of being his friend's father who trains him, it's some guy who originally did not want to train him. In both films, you have scenes where his legs are being split apart and he's screaming, "Ah!" So, yeah. But that almost sounded like Schwarzenegger. I don't know why. I can't do... Van Damme has a particular way of screaming that I can't do. It's very French. Kickboxer has also, again, your typical trope where towards the end, Van Damme is like, beaten, he's at his last straw. And in Bloodsport, there's also that same scene, but it's because the villain has cheated and he threw sand or something in his eyes that he can't see. And then you have Van Damme going, "Ah! Ah!" He moves because he can't see. And then he does something similar in Kickboxer, but it's that the villain tells him that he raped his girlfriend, and that, gets him in more like macho mode. But Kickboxer, it's the reason why it's more entertaining, serious talk, the reason why it's more entertaining is because it kind of removes a lot of the seriousness of the plot. Like in Bloodsport, it takes itself a little more seriously, whereas in Kickboxer, it just goes straight to the point. And it has this famous scene that I love where Van Damme gets a little drunk, they go into this jukebox and they play music, and then you have Van Damme going, you know, dancing like this with like this like slim little shirt. It's a classic scene, and people get these two movies mixed up, Bloodsport and Kickboxer. But Kickboxer is the one that's most entertaining to me. Don't get it wrong, Bloodsport is also very good. You know, I don't want you to go crazy in the comment section. I think they're both great movies. If both Bloodsport and Kickboxer cemented him as this big action star, what's number one? Well, you know, I looked through his whole filmography. He has a lot of great movies. And, you know, it came to my mind that the only film that could be number one
Welcome to the Jungle.
You're close.
Welcome to the Jungle, number one, numero uno.
If you haven't seen Welcome to the Jungle, man, you're missing out. That movie's fucking hilarious. But no, number one is Knockoff with Rob Schneider.
Oh, of course.
Oh man, that's one of his last theatrical releases. It's so bad. There's a scene where Rob Schneider is in the back of this like you know cart, and Van Damme is like dragging him in this race, and he's wearing these knockoff Nike shoes, and they're tearing up, and he can't run really well. It's so dumb. But joke aside, the real number one here is JCVD. And that's of course short for his name, Jean-Claude Van Damme, but it's a movie called JCVD that was released in 2008 at a limited theatrical release. And if you haven't seen this movie, you are really missing out because it shows you that Van Damme can actually really act. He's not only a martial artist, not just an action superhero or whatever, he's actually an actor. There's a particular scene where he's giving a monologue where he breaks the third wall and he's just pouring his heart out, and he's showing you how good of an actor he really is. He just hasn't had the chance to play the particular characters he wants to act in. It's happened with a lot of actors. You know, Jackie Chan's another one who wants to act in serious film, and he's done some serious dramas, cop dramas, where he shows he can also act. So don't typecast these guys. You know, Van Damme, I'm pretty sure you can do a drama. You know, there's a film of his that I really want to see that still hasn't been released called Equal Path, also known as Full Love, which he directed, which is more of a drama, less action stuff like that. But still hasn't been released, no one's picking it up because it's not marketable as a martial arts Van Damme movie, because everyone sees him as the big action hero. But JCVD shows you how good of an actor he is. The whole story is basically, they get him mixed up with this kidnapping, and he has to prove himself innocent, and it's very low budget, but I like that because it restrains Van Damme from doing all these crazy stuff and relies more on his acting chops. So watch it, is definitely his best film. Most people would put Universal Soldier or Kickboxer or even like something like Time Cop as their favorite one, but it really is this movie, which shows you how good of an actor he really is. So that was my top 5 Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. If you watch all of these, you're gonna definitely have a great total Van Damme-age. That was really dumb. But anyway, make sure to like this video, subscribe, hit that bell button so you get all the notifications on the wonderful videos you have here on this channel. You know, it's not just me, you know, there's a bunch of other people. You know, there's, you know, a dorky doing a wake up, and you have ODG just being himself, usually drunk. So anyway, guys, make sure to do all those things, and until next time. Van Damme plays Frank Dukes, and he plays Frank Dukes, who is going on a tournament, and he
Tremendo. Go.
so